What's going on, Bulls Nation? The Las Vegas Summer League starts tomorrow, and the Bulls' first game in the Las Vegas Summer League is on Friday, which means that we get to see Noa Essengue play in the Bulls uniform in just a couple of days here. But before we get into, Las Vegas Summer League kicking off and everything, I want to go ahead and give you guys my Noa Essengue film breakdown video, as I think that we can maybe see some of the stuff in this video that I'm going to show you here, and we might see it when he plays in his first couple of Summer League games, in which I'm pretty hyped about the Summer League and I can't wait to see him play. But before we get into it all, make sure you hit that like button if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Overall, if you're wondering about the pick about with the Essengue, my overall thoughts on the pick, I am pretty overall hyped about the pick. I am aware that he is a risk, but I do think that where the Bulls are currently at right now as a team, I do think this is a good risk versus reward pick. And I'm looking forward to seeing Essengue and his development. But in this video, the first part of this video is going to be me showing you mostly sort of like his off-ball impact. Big reason why I'm doing this is because I know there's already a lot of questions about Essengue, like day one of his first NBA game. Like, what is he gonna do in terms of impact in the half-court offense? I want to show you some kind of things that I think he can have an impact on day one when it comes to his level of impact. And I'm not saying like it's going to be like, starter level impact, but with his size, length, and athleticism, and with how well he moves, like I think these are sort of things that I can see him having impact in terms of day one stuff. Obviously he's going to have to work on developing more, but this is stuff that I think he already kind of has that I want to show you guys right now. Other thing is, obviously, a lot of people are already really scared about like his dribbling ability. Like there is definitely moments where he looks pretty lack of coordination, or maybe a lot of people talk about butter hands, which I do agree. Like I do think that his hands aren't exactly the greatest, especially with his dribbling, but that is definitely something that's got to be kind of worked on as we move forward. But if we're so worried about that, let me show you stuff in terms of off-ball opportunities for him where he doesn't have to dribble as much, that I think he can be a pretty impactful player already. And so I'm looking to see if he can get these sort of opportunities in Summer League here. But first thing I want to show you is just him kind of moving off ball on the perimeter. So ignore the screen here. He's going to come up and set a screen in this first clip. Kind of ignore it. Just watch as he becomes aware of like where his defender is looking and how he reacts off of it. So again, ignore the screen. Sorry about the video quality, but you see here that he recognized, hey, his defender was looking this way, not necessarily looking at him and not paying attention to him and just staring at the ball. And so we saw Essengue just immediately just recognize that, go backdoor and see if he can get an open dunk out of it. And there he is, like he immediate open dunk out of it. Similar type of action here. You can already see like in this little freeze frame, like his defender is not paying attention to him right now at this current moment in time. And so Essengue takes the timing as his defender is looking at the ball and decides, hey, I'm going to go backdoor. And, maybe he doesn't necessarily get the ball, but maybe it collapses the defense and maybe this guy gets an open three-point shot out of it. But either way, though, I like this already from Essengue. He actually, if you go and look through his film, he actually does a pretty good job of understanding spacing in the half court, even though he's not like the greatest shooter. And so like, even though he's not exactly the greatest shooter, there's still something called vertical spacing, and with his length and athleticism, like that can be a pretty big factor. And you see here, he just backdoor, his defender wasn't paying any attention to him, and he gets a dunk out of it, and gets 2 points. So 2 easy points. So like this is stuff that obviously we've been asking Patrick Williams to do his entire career, right? And I'm not saying he's perfect at it, but it's just good to see right off the bat from Essengue. So another sort of action here where he's off ball, and we see the defenders all staring at what's happening with the ball. Not saying that these guys are doing anything bad necessarily at this current moment in time, but just pointing it out. And so you see Essengue actually has really good anticipation here of what the defenders are going to do, and ball gets swung up to the top, and then he cuts backdoor baseline and gets an easy dunk out of it. So 3 plays already just kind of showing like, hey, off-ball opportunities. His size allows him to be a big target, and then his athleticism allows him to easily finish. He gets up pretty easily with his length and athleticism. So these sort of opportunities would be great for him early on in his career. And I hope to see this in Summer League, just, awareness of when maybe the defenders aren't necessarily paying as much attention to you. Get some backdoor cuts, maybe not necessarily get the ball, but just to collapse the defense potentially. So looking forward to seeing those sort of opportunities for Essengue. Now, here's something that I have been paying attention to a lot when it comes to Essengue and his play so far. This is a play, I don't exactly know what this play I would call it. My best kind of guess is that it's just kind of like a horns flare. Like, as you can kind of see, it's like, it is kind of like horn set, like guys in the corner, top the key, and then you have 2 guys in the middle, and like these guys can kind of do whatever. But it's not like fully this, so like I kind of just say like it's kind of like zipper action, but you kind of see Essengue kind of flare out. So I don't really know what to exactly call it. It's like a hybrid between like zipper action or then like also like horns flare. So whatever you want to call this, but pin down here for Essengue, and what this does though, like you're gonna kind of see him like curl off this. It's like a flare action. What this does here, it actually puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and this is getting him a downhill opportunity in the half court without him obviously dribbling the basketball, like having to set himself up for it. This is just pure off-ball movement and using his body and his size and his speed to his advantage here to then get this sort of opportunity at the rim, using just one little pin down. So play the clip here, and you can see here, so this was like pin down here, whatever you want to call this, flares out and catches the ball here. As you can see, the defender's now trailing him, and so he has right now the opportunity just to go to the basket, and it puts a lot of pressure on the defense to, you know, potentially either foul him or, you know, come over and contest it. But when he gets a downhill drive, right, it's pretty much lights out at that point, and he's most likely either gonna get fouled or go ahead and finish it, especially as he gets stronger. But hey, look, you want to see how many times this team ran this play for him? I mean, same sort of action, right? Same screen. He gets it here. The defender's actually with him. He went under the screen, but he had a little floater shot this time. So good counter if the defender decided to go under the screen. But hey, look, same action again. And this time he gets a downhill drive and is able to go ahead and finish over the big man, right? So again, downhill opportunities. But oh, hey, by the way, same action again. And yeah, just get him downhill and get him a line drive to the basket, even if there's like a bigger defender in his way. With his length and athleticism, I do think he's going to find ways to get through these sort of opportunities or get through the defender and finish these opportunities. So I hope to see the Bulls kind of run something similar, whether it's like a pin down or it's like, you know, floppy action, just something just to kind of see if he can kind of get a step on his defender, just moving off ball, and then get him the basketball and let him take it from there. Make it pretty simple, right? Just let him use what his physical gifts to his advantage and not have him, you know, try to like dribble his way into a shot or anything like that. This is just using what he is and using it at his best, right? Using his size, length, and athleticism and his speed all together in one, and not asking him to do too much. And so I really like to see this overall from him. So I'm looking forward to seeing if the Bulls can run these sort of plays. Now, even like just like this sort of play, this is like kind of like a semi-transition. Here's Essengue here, if you're wondering. But like this is just kind of like a little like pitch to him. And again, it's just a way just to kind of get him downhill, even if it's not a transition opportunity necessarily. And you see like, hey, a little pitch, he gets downhill opportunity and is able to go ahead and finish with the foul. Like the defender's put in a pretty rough spot when he's put in that sort of situation where, hey, he's got a line drive to the basket, like he got a step, and now all of a sudden, you know, you got a 6'10" guy that, yeah, he's not exactly the biggest right now, but he's coming at you with the full charge of speed, and it's just like, hey, make a decision. That's his value already, at least in my opinion. It's like, these are off-ball things. Like, yeah, like he's obviously getting the ball eventually, but it's not like, hey, he's running like the pick and roll as the ball handler or like isolating, right? These are like sort of off-ball opportunities that I can see him like day one just like coming in and like getting these sort of opportunities. Maybe he doesn't finish as many, obviously, but just getting this in his arsenal is going to be pretty effective, at least in my opinion, moving forward for him, and maybe even day one. I don't think this is like an ATO or anything, but like it's just, you know, silent out of bounds type of play. But again, it's sort of the same idea. Little screen here. I'm sorry about the video, but little screen for him to come off of, and he gets a downhill drive to the basket and is able to go ahead and finish. Like this is good stuff already, at least in my opinion. And so I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get more of this. So that's, you know, him kind of moving off ball a little bit more on the perimeter and understanding how to kind of fit within the spacing of the offense. Here is another opportunity where he's off ball, but instead he's going to be a little bit more of the action. So he's not exactly like, you know, kind of like reacting and like kind of playing, you know, maybe in the corner, or like he's like coming off like some screens here. Like this is him actually setting a screen. So this is him actually being the screen and roller. And because of his size, like I do think that he could be a really good target for a screen roll opportunity with him being the screen and roller. There's a screen. Obviously the defense tries to do like a show and then get back, but he moves too well for you to run this sort of coverage, and if you give him a good pass, he's going to go ahead and be able to finish these sort of opportunities here. And then even here, like, this is obviously a horn set, but pay attention to how this is ran. Like, this is obviously looking like, hey, it's going to be a typical horn set, like stagger screen, but you actually see here where he actually doesn't even set the screen. He's just going to kind of slip it. So this guy sets the screen, but instead of him setting a screen, he's just going to kind of slip it, and just watch how much pressure this puts on the defense, right? So there's the initial slip, and then you see that this guy had to come on down and take him for a second, but hey, this means that he's wide open. So if he decides to leave all of a sudden, now Essengue already has a step in the paint, and I don't think that either of these guys are going to be able to come up and contest a shot from him at this point. The guy eventually leaves him, and hey, you're forced to foul him at this point, right? Like, these are the sort of things that I'm looking at. I'm like, hey, like, that's stuff that, again, you can't teach his length, athleticism, and size, and his mobility that he has already, and like that allows him to kind of be an effective role option in that sort of position, off like a pick and roll opportunity. Like, that's just him, right? There's things that you can obviously refine. Sometimes he doesn't exactly open up the right way after a screen, but I do think that we're in a pretty good spot already from what I personally see. Now, if you're wondering about on-ball stuff with him, so I'm not gonna necessarily like show you some like the on-ball stuff like on the perimeter. Like, he's not gonna be a guy that's gonna be running the pick and roll where he's the ball handler or stuff like that. But one area I do think that he could be an on-ball threat is this sort of post-up game. Biggest reasons why is that, hey, he's 6'10" already with, you know, great wingspan. If he can be a good, like, you know, take a good post-up player to take advantage of mismatches, that'd be great right off the bat, right? But if he can also do what I'm going to show you right here, then like this allows him to get dribble penetration, or ball penetration, I should say, without him having to dribble the basketball too much. And so he's able to get closer to the basket without having to dribble it too much and be a threat, which puts the defense in a pretty difficult situation, and it allows him to kind of go to whatever he wants to in the post. So I'm not necessarily saying that this is gonna be something he's gonna have day one. Like, I don't really know, but we have seen a little bit of like this post fadeaway over either shoulder, specifically on that block. Here's another play of it where he's just kind of posting up, and he goes over the other shoulder this time. And like, if he can do this, bro, like, this would be fantastic. Because if he has this in his arsenal, where the defense is all of a sudden like nervous about him getting a one-on-one opportunity on the block, whether it's, you know, with his usual defender or, you know, him having a mismatch, then like you're able to kind of do some fun stuff like this right here, where like he has the ball. If you're wondering, like, this is him with the ball, but you're gonna see like the action run here. You're gonna see these guys kind of move over, and kind of get like a handoff opportunity from him, and it kind of just like puts everything I talked about in terms of his off-ball offense into one play. And he's gonna pitch it over. Oh, I drew up the play wrong here, but he's gonna pitch it over, and he's gonna set the screen here. He's gonna move, and boom, right? We see him like posting up. They're, you know, defense is a little bit worried about it. He then pitches it off to the ball handler. He sets the screen. He rolls and he moves well, and he is able to get a dunk opportunity out of it. Like, that's all kind of just like everything in one. And so if you're kind of like wondering like what his like half-court offensive role is gonna be, like, yeah, I don't necessarily know how good of a three-point shooter he's going to be. I do think that his jump shot, there's definitely times where he looks off balance on it. The stroke overall, like, he gets it off pretty nicely, but I am sometimes worried that he's more of like a thrower instead of a shooter. But I will be interested to see how much he develops that. Overall, though, I do want him seeing him take the open three-point shots when it's available. But, you know, if that's not necessarily available to him, then move off ball, get some backdoor cuts, which we saw earlier, right? Set some screens, be the screen and roller, and be a good big target for the ball handler to pass it to, or at the very least, just be a guy that's going to collapse the defense off of being a screen and roller. But maybe even see him, probably not in like the, you know, if he's playing with the starters, but maybe see him like a little bit in the post, and trying to put that pressure on the defense with just his size if he gets a mismatch, but kind of run maybe this sort of action with him here. Obviously, the biggest thing for him is going to be the transition game. Like, the transition game is going to be huge for him in terms of how he's going to get his easy points. But in terms of him being in the half court, like, I think he can play the dunker spot. I think he can, you know, play kind of anywhere on the perimeter, especially if he's being aware of when to take his timings to do backdoor cuts or just move overall. but I also think he can be up the top of the key and be the screen and roller and roll hard to the basket. There are even opportunities, at least in my head, that I didn't even show you in this film breakdown, where I think that he can be at the top of the key and be kind of be the kind of like the handoff guy, like, you know, run DHOs. And let's say like this is him, he's gonna come over here and this is him with the basketball, and he's gonna like hand it off to a guy that, you know, maybe someone else is coming over here setting a screen, and this guy comes up, gets the ball from him, and they hand it off and they go this way, right? Like, it's like these sort of opportunities, I think that you can kind of see it already for him early on. Obviously, we want him to get better in terms of having the ball in his hands as he gets older, but he is 18 years old, second youngest player in the draft, so make things a little bit easier for him early on. Get him some easy opportunities in the NBA early on. He'll probably get some time in the G League, which I think is perfectly fine, but in terms of like what he can do now, this is what I think he can do now, and I'm looking forward to seeing this in the summer league, and then obviously when we get into actual NBA games here. So that's his offensive stuff. A lot of off ball stuff, but you know, some, you know, maybe potential post up opportunities for him with him having the basketball in his hands. Let's talk about his defense here. So this is also mostly going to be off ball, but I am going to show some on ball stuff from him. I mean, just taking everything that I want to just show you from this. Like, here's him. Sorry, that's a bad circle. But just watch how much ground he covers, man. So he comes over here and recognizes that, hey, this guy's not even in the play. He's just gonna come over, and as this guy is trying to drive, reaches in and gets the basketball, and he's off to the races. And he probably should have finished this one, but you know, it is what it is. You know, he just gets down the floor so fast when he gets that full head of steam. Watch this play here from Essengue. So they do have him circled, like this is him. This is not him necessarily getting like the steal or block or anything like that. This is just him playing good defense, okay? So pick and roll here, horn set, and screen and roll, but just pay attention to how Essengue kind of moves off of his man to help out on the action, and then gets back to his man that he was initially guarding. So again, pick and roll set here, sees that the roll, like they hard sell out on the ball handler, so then he comes over and covers up the roll man, right? This guy's coming down, he slides over off of his guy, okay? So he stops then the initial opportunity for the guy on the roll, right? And then with that all happening, he then gets out to his man quick enough so that this guy doesn't have like an open jump shot or open drive to the basket, right? And it's a reset. And then all of a sudden now they're trying to figure out, okay, where do we go next? And like, he doesn't obviously get the steal here, but like that defensive possession is because of his good defense at the initial action. So like, that's good to see. Another sort of play here where I think that he does a good job is you see him, this is a little bit later into a play, but this guy's rolling hard. This is him here. He's obviously in this guy, but he comes on over and helps, right? He takes this away and doesn't allow this guy to get a clean opportunity. And so then this guy gets denied, but then he's able to run out and contest this guy on the perimeter in the corner, and that's his man, right? So able to come in, use his size to take away roll opportunities from big men, but then able to go out and contest guys on the perimeter because he has that mobility. Like, that's pretty impressive already. I will say though, like even in that clip there, like I do think that sometimes with his defense, he does a little bit, like he plays a little bit too up high, if that makes any sense. So if he's guarding a guy in the corner, like he'll play like even like this is not him, but like it's kind of like what this guy's doing right here, where he's like, you're not necessarily paying attention to your guy. This is a little bit more of like a discipline thing, but I do think what Essengue does do is like, he recognizes when he needs to come over and help pretty effectively. Sometimes he, you know, does it a little bit like too aggressively where he ends up fouling, but this is the sort of stuff here where I'm like, this is good. Like he clearly understands his rotations and, you know, when to help, when to recover, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. This play here, I'm just kind of showing you, like, it's not even anything like, you know, like a good defensive rotation. It's just showing you like, hey, he slips on this play. So this is Essengue right here. He slips, okay? And he falls down, but just watch as he recovers this, okay? He slips right here, and he goes and is able to run out to the corner that quickly and take away the three-point shot, and then watch, like, he gets the block here. And it's just, like, that is stuff, again, you just can't teach that. Like, that's just him. He slipped, and he gets back into the play, denies the three-point shot, and then is able to come back in and get the block shot. Like, again, stuff that you just cannot teach. This is a play where I do think that, again, he is maybe a little bit too up high sometimes. This is a little bit better than what I have seen him do before. But just, again, paying attention to what's happening with the basketball. Good anticipation here. Gets a steal on that pass. Not a great pass overall though, but he gets a steal here. And so if you're wondering, like, hey, is he more of an off-ball defender? Like, I do think that in his time in Germany, I do think that he was like more of an off-ball defender, and that does not mean that he's gonna only be a good off-ball defender. I do think that sometimes, like, you know, coaching kind of says like, hey, put this guy only off-ball, and like he just has to listen to the system. But I do think that there is some potential here for him to be a good on-ball defender, and like here's like the first play that I have where it's just like smaller guy, he does a good job of sticking with them, gets the block shot. Moves his feet really well against a guy that has better, you know, maybe arguably better quickness than him, but you know, he's smaller, right? So again, like not letting this guy get past him. Stay low and make sure that you can test it well, and gets the block shot on this guy when he's taking a pull-up 3-point shot. Like there is definitely some potential there. But overall though, I do want to see in Summer League, like, can he guard guys on ball effectively? So like, you know, I don't know if he's going to be guarding, you know, necessarily like a guy like Ace Bailey or something like that, but guard guys that have the ball in his hands a little bit more, and see if he can guard those guys effectively on ball. That is definitely gonna be something that I think that we should all be looking towards in the Summer League, is see if he does get those opportunities. If he's more of an off-ball defender, then it is what it is. And obviously I've showed you where I think that he can already be an impactful off-ball defender, but I do want to see him try to get those sort of on-ball reps to see where he is. I do think that he's already kind of like Buzelis in the sense that where, you know, Buzelis didn't necessarily always have like the quickness to stay in front of like smaller guys. So like he would get beat, like the first step would beat him, but his length would allow him to recover effectively. Like he might be in that category, but I do want to see him, like, is he gonna be able to guard guys like a Siakam, or like, no one can guard Durant, but like just kind of, you know, effectively get a hand in Durant's face and stay in front of him enough to just make him kind of feel you, right? Like I just want to see that. We'll see that obviously once he gets into, you know, plays his first NBA games, but well, I overall kind of think that I'm not entirely sure where his like perimeter, like on-ball defense is at the moment. I see potential, but I'm not entirely sure where it is just yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing him develop in that sort of area, and I do think that as he gets, you know, bigger and stronger, like that will also, you know, and kind of work on his coordination. I do think that's also going to potentially improve. Last but not least, I just want to show you this clip. I'm going to full screen it. But like, this is really the reason why I'm really excited about Essengue. Just overall, just watch this clip just really quickly. Here's him. Just watch. Covers ground, gets a steal on the fast break, and again, you're forced to foul him once gets a full head of steam, right? Like that already, like in a nutshell, is just like, oh my god, I see the defensive potential, but then I see this guy, man, when he is able to just get out on a full head of steam and just get in the open floor, or even in the half where, like I showed you earlier, where he just is able to get that line drive, like his just sort of archetype, it's hard to kind of make a decision on him in terms of when you're defending. Like it's going to be interesting to see how the defense is going to guard him, because like, yeah, he's not necessarily a great 3-point shooter at this current moment in time, but just the fact that he's able to move this well and he has this length and athleticism, like it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. It's not me saying he's going to come in and be like a great finisher immediately or anything like that, but it's just like I see already kind of signs where I'm like, I don't know what the defense is necessarily going to do with him if he does get this full head of steam. And so if you're able to put him in these sort of positions as much as possible with the Bulls, especially with how they run, like I'm looking forward to seeing him in transition and in when he gets those opportunities to go out and just go full charge down the floor, or just go get a straight line drive to the basket. I am really looking forward to seeing those opportunities. But overall though, I sorry about the film, the video quality, and I know some of the frames weren't great, but hope you guys enjoyed this Noa Essengue film breakdown video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Looking forward to seeing Essengue and the Bulls in Summer League. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.